free heat. Free heat. I don't care what anyone has to say about this. To me, this is free heat. The last time I did a video showing off my outdoor wood furnace, I think I gave it the title, "This is how I heat my house for free," and I got 1,001 comments pointing out that it's not free. And okay, so maybe I'll call it free heat and then put an asterisk after it. The way I define free heat is at the end of the month, I don't go to my mailbox and I pull out an envelope that has the gas bill on it. I get no bill to heat my house with this outdoor wood furnace. And on top of that, we live with complete disregard for the thermostat. We keep our house as hot as we want it because of this. This is what I call free heat. Now, in order for it to be free, there's a lot of paying that you have to do. And the paying that you do is labor, like all this firewood that you see here, and the firewood that you see in my woodshed. That isn't free. Also, where are you getting your wood from? And all of my wood, before I started Ohio Wood Burner, all my wood came from local farmers who I have learned hate trees. And man, they bulldoze down trees and they light them all on fire. Had found out though that if you ask them, "Hey, you mind if I go out into that field and cut up all that wood?" They say, "Take everything that you want." So I would get all my wood for free to heat with my outdoor wood furnace. And I think if you're really serious about getting one of these, you got to realize where you're getting your wood from. Because I don't know if buying your firewood, I don't know if that makes sense. When I think about calculating my return on investment and my pursuit of free heat, buying firewood, I don't know. Even if you are getting it cheap, which we all know boiler wood is the cheapest wood that you can buy, you still got to pay for it. If you're going to buy your firewood to heat your house with an outdoor wood furnace, I don't know, guys. I think you'd be better off just to forget all of this and pay the gas man or the propane or the electric company. This is a Hardy outdoor wood furnace, or a boiler, whatever you want to call it. Hardy calls it an outside wood burning furnace. This is not a pressurized boiler, and it works just like your heater does in your car or your truck. It heats up water. It pumps it through a heat exchanger. A fan blows through it. This furnace also heats our domestic hot water, and we have the hottest shower in Northeast Ohio. That's how it works. So this has a firebox, and it is a forced air firebox. So it doesn't burn all the time, and it is not burning right now. The furnace is set up on an aquastat, which measures the temperature of the water, and it keeps it between 150 and 170 degrees Fahrenheit. When the house asks for heat, there's a pump on the back of this furnace which circulates the hot water through the ground into the heat exchanger and then back into the furnace to be reheated. That brings the temperature of the furnace down, which then kicks on the forced air to stoke up the firebox. All of that can be seen back here. Here is the control panel. These Hardys, guys, they don't make them anymore, which is another problem, because now I'm wondering, about parts availability. Now my furnace lady, Mrs. Shadle, she lives up in Cherry Valley, Shadle's Furnace, excellent dealer. She's got to be one of the most knowledgeable furnace people I've ever met. She's an amazing lady. And some of you know her, and that is from the area. So, she has a very great reputation. Here is the controls. This is all analog stuff. There is nothing digital. And in theory, all of these parts you could find at a hardware store. So it brings in grid power from the house, and it goes into a ground fault, and that runs the forced air fan and the water pump, which in the world of outdoor wood boilers is called a taco pump. I don't know why they call it a taco pump, but man, wouldn't that be cool if one really existed, huh? The taco pump pumps hot water under the ground into the house, and then it comes back into the tank, goes into the bottom of the tank to be reheated. When the temperature, here's the temperature, so my water is now sitting at 160 degrees. When the temperature drops to 150, this solenoid pops open the flapper, and the electric motor starts blowing into the firebox. The blower, restokes the fire, and that brings the water temperature back up, and when it hits 170, the fan shuts off. And it just does that all day long. And the bottom line is we have the warmest house and we got the hottest shower, man. It's got a couple safety features. This is a low temperature gauge. Some nights it's possible for your fire to go out, which is a bad condition. And if your water temperature drops to 100 degrees, it shuts everything off, so that, because if you're asleep, the pump keeps running and the house furnace keeps running, and it will suck every bit of heat out of your furnace and bring it, way, way, way down. So this way, it's like a fail-safe. It'll shut it off at 100 degrees, and it gives you a chance to get out here and to figure out what went wrong. You guys have been following the progress of my wood pile, and some of you have expressed respect for the hard work that I've been and showing and saying how impressed that you've been on how big this pile is getting. But guys, I am telling you, this is not enough wood to get us through the winter. In fact, I would suspect that this is probably going to get us through December. That is how hungry these things are. They eat firewood. They do. They go through a lot. For me, though, the benefit being, a firewood producer, I generate a lot of waste. And since I only sell value-added firewood, so the sticks have to be pretty, exactly 16 inches long, no rot, no nothing. I throw the uglies in here, the offcuts, weird shapes, and ones that show rot. These just get thrown into the pile, and they become my firewood. I left the doors open, so that's rekindled the fire, but that's what it looks like when it's burning inside. The door would be closed, so all that heat is going right into the water jacket. So this is a 100-gallon, I think, tank of water, and the water jacket surrounds the firebox, and I think the water level comes up to about here. So I'm going to shut this up. That's the ash bin. You shut it, and then the firebox, we shut it like this. And that's how you do it. I just heard the water pump kick on. So this is running. So this is hot, man. This is as hot as the water is, hot to the touch. I can't really keep my hand on it. So that means my forced air furnace in the house is running, and it's blowing through the heat exchanger. Inside of my house, there is no indication that there is anything different in there, except instead of having one thermostat, I have two. And it's those square Honeywells that are in pretty much every house in the United States. I have two of them, and that is the only thing different inside the house. If you were to walk in, you would never know that we heat with wood. Ooh, so the blower motor just kicked on. So the blower motor just kicked on. It kicked on a little bit above 150, but the flapper is now pulled up by the solenoid, and it is blowing into the firebox. This is a clean out just so you can see the ash bin. So let's go around to the other side. I'll open up the ash door and I'll show you what it looks like inside. 50-year-old knees. And that's the ash bin. The door that we were just looking at is back here. The wood is sitting up on top. There's the grates. And the forced air just rekindles the embers, and then the wood starts burning again. Oh, I'm stuck down here, guys. 50-year-old knees. Don't get old, guys. That cycle just keeps going on and on and on. And that's how this thing works. I'm not an expert here. I've just had one of these, for 16, 17 winters. What I would say is that these are probably some of the most inefficient machines ever made. They are inefficient, man. They waste so much heat, especially the Hardy, because you see the smokestack? This, if you were to go up and stand on top and peek down into the smokestack, you would look directly into the firebox. Some of these have like a separate chamber where the heat can get trapped in it. But then the smoke comes up around and then out through it. This just, at nighttime, you can see a flame shooting out of this thing. Just tremendous amount of heat that's lost through the smokestack. The other loss is on the ground because these are, I have 4 PEX lines, so like 3/4 inch PEX lines that take water in and out of the house. And in the wintertime, when we have a foot of snow on the ground, you'll see green grass where the PEX lines go. So that is another inefficiency. And if you're getting your firewood for free, you probably don't lose any sleep over the fact that it's inefficient. But if you're sensitive to all of that extra work or polluting the air with particulate matter, because let's be realistic here, wood smoke is not healthy for you. And while this is outdoors, if you're not responsible with this, if you have neighbors that are downwind, boy, that looks nice, doesn't it? I'll come out here in the middle of the winter to load it, and I just like to stand here and watch it and just watch it work. But if you're not sensitive to neighbors, you can really make some enemies with one of these things, because if you put garbage wood in these things, they just belch black smoke. There are reports of very irresponsible owners, that burn tires and shingles and asphalt in these things. Oh, gosh. So these aren't for everyone. If you got neighbors, especially neighbors that are downwind, this probably isn't the way to go. But, even in the middle of wintertime, the prevailing winds in the wintertime is this way. But, man, it doesn't matter. Different weather systems come in, the wind's going that way, the smoke's going this way, it's getting pushed down to the ground, or it's going so it doesn't matter if it is the prevailing winds. This smoke will still it'll blow on your own house. So when you set one of these up, you do want to find where the prevailing winds go, but do recognize that there will be days where the smoke's blowing right on your house. There are times when we're in there and we're like, is the house on fire, and you're looking around and then you realize that the furnace is blowing right onto your house. I think the other thing too, guys, these are getting pretty expensive. At least where I am with my age right now and how long we want to stay living in this house. If this machine were to break, I don't know if I would replace it, because these things are getting expensive. And if the cheap end is like $15,000 for one of these things, that buys a lot of propane. How many years of propane could you heat your house with at the cost of this before you get your return on investment? Now, when I bought these Hardys were cheap. They were the most inexpensive ones out there. I think I paid $5,000 for it. And that was with all of the PEX lines, the orange tubes that you see here. Dad and I put this in ourselves. I paid a buddy $100 to dig the trench to the house, and we were in business. From there, it's just find the firewood. I, of course, had some peripheral benefits to this outdoor wood furnace, because firewood will become your hobby. These things must, they have a big appetite. You will be making firewood with these. And that is what developed my hobby into a side hustle, and then developed into a business for Ohio Woodburner. Part of the calculus I had in making this leap from leaving corporate life to becoming self-employed was I felt that I was in a no-lose situation, because had I not sold a single stick of firewood, it wouldn't have gone to waste, because I'd have just burned it in my furnace. That was my mentality. You know, that was starting off when, you know, you just got a few cords to your name and you're just trying to figure out if this is actually going to work. But that was part of my mental calculus of becoming self-employed, and certainly developing my interest and my passion for firewood started with this thing right here. I will never forget this. When Mr. Shadle, he passed away a few years back, but when he came and delivered this furnace, I had a stack of firewood. It was the biggest pile of wood that I had ever made in my life, and I had it sitting over there. And I remember I asked him, I go, "Here's my wood for the year, you know, you think this is going to be enough?" And he just looked at me with kind of a grin on his face. And you know, that was his way of telling me I needed to get busy, because and he was right. That it like got me through November. My one of my favorite TV shows was Survivor Man. If you remember watching him on Discovery Channel, he had a motto: whenever you feel your firewood pile is big enough, make it 5 times bigger. And that's the case for an outdoor wood furnace. I don't know if I've ever gone through a winter with enough firewood. And when I told you that this is not enough firewood, I still will be building up on this, you know, through the winter, because my production still goes on for Ohio Woodburner. I still have logs coming in, and you know, the offcuts, the uglies, they don't get sold, they come into here. I don't do a very good job accounting for that on paper. To me, that is time better spent splitting and stacking and selling, versus you know, calculating my return on investment and how much of a write-off I can have on the wood that I'm buying. To me, I'm heating my house for free, and especially this year when you see the price of oil and propane. I don't know what natural gas is, but oh wow, I am so glad that we are heating with wood. But now, you know, the emphasis is on, will this Hardy continue to crank out the heat. So let's take a look at this again. All right, so it's just cooking away. I will be adding some new wood to it, just to keep it fed. I probably come out here minimum two times a day, one in the morning, one in the evening. But when you have one of these, especially when you work at home, I come out here all the time. I just like to look at it. And, you know, it helps just to punch the logs down, you know, to keep the wood going down to the grates. And that makes it burn nice. It's just fun to watch. And man, there's some good heat coming off of here too. I'm feeling it. It feels great. Doesn't it look nice? I think it looks great. Part of my routine, I wear a knit cap, because these things will burn the hair right off your head and your eyebrows and your eyelashes. And I'm speaking from experience. I wear a heavy wool coat with long sleeves, because you know, you get it up to here, it'll burn the hairs off your arms. And then I wear a long pair of welder's gloves, and that seems to work nice. I try to avoid the smoke. You know, breathing wood smoke isn't healthy, and I consider this like a prolonged exposure opportunity. So whenever I open the door, I try to stay away from the door and let the smoke blow out the other way. But is an outdoor wood furnace in your guys' future? Well, I think if you have a long-term commitment to your current house, if you have the physicality, or you have family members that can help you, if you have the ability or the desire to go find free firewood, and I'm telling you, it is out there, you just got to find it. It's amazing how easy it is to find free firewood once you learn how it works. If you can do that, and I think the last thing too, if you are the type of people that don't go on vacation in the wintertime, an outdoor wood furnace could work for you. These things, you just can't walk away from them on the weekend and shut them down. It's bad for them to, heat up and then cool off. It's bad on the joints and everything. You can start getting leaks or stress fractures. But remember, these are filled with water. Okay, so this just cut off. So the firebox got to 170 degrees and the firebox just shut off. It's closed the flapper. So now all the air going into the firebox is now choked off, and that's going to allow the fire to go out, except, obviously I have the door open. So let's close this door. But if you are the kind of people that go on vacation in the wintertime, you go on skiing weekends or like your getaways, this probably is not for you. Unless you have neighbors who you can trust. But even then, I don't know if that would work, because how would they know if your fire had gone out at 3 o'clock in the morning? You walk away from one of these, they will freeze up. It's filled with water, and pipes can burst, and that's bad. So we are the kind of family, where kids were younger in school, you don't travel during the school year, and we were always home, so it worked out for us. We had never left to go on vacation when the kids were younger during the school year, plus my wife worked at the school. So, that's some of the realities of these. When I say free heat, what are you giving up for that free heat? So there's a lot of labor involved. You got to find your wood. You are committed to this machine for as long as you're operating it. And for us, we fire it up after Halloween, and we shut it down after Easter. And we just use space heaters in the house after that. It's kind of like in the spring, you're getting tired of it. I used to call it hardy knee, my knee, because I have to bend down a little bit to throw the log in. Man, my knee would start hurting in February. It's a serious affliction, hardy knee. Consider all those if you're looking at an outdoor wood furnace. Ours has been a home run. We had ours paid for, our return on investment at going into our third winter. That's how fast it was, because we got a bigger house. Propane is expensive. It was then, and it's expensive again now. But I would say beyond the dollars and cents, there's a quality of life, guys. Having one of these, having a warm house to come home to, not worrying about that stupid thermostat dial, and having that hot shower. Gosh, our showers are awesome. So that is the Hardy H2 outdoor wood furnace. Free heat. I don't care what anyone says. This is free to me. It's free because I don't have to write a check at the end of the month to pay to heat the house. Free. All right, guys. I hope everyone has a great day.